convoy travelling to a meeting of senior IS leaders. Instead, he was taken away from the scene and his condition was unknown. But various sources now suggest the IS leader was not there at all. This is not the first time that such reports have surfaced about the elusive al-Baghdadi, but witnesses on the ground say that an airstrike did hit an IS meeting and the group has taken casualties, which will be a lesser but still significant morale boost for Iraqi forces.
The Russian President Vladimir Putin has met the Saudi defense minister in the latest effort to try to bridge differences between the two countries over Syria. The meeting took place as Russia carried out dozens more air raids against rebel groups, some of whom are supported by Saudi Arabia. Mr. Putin is said to have expressed his understanding of Saudi concerns. The government of the Central African Republic says French and United Nations forces have halted a rebel advance on the capital Bangui. The international troops clashed with Seleka rebels about 180 kilometers north of Bangui. The authorities said the rebels ignored an ultimatum to retreat by Saturday. World News from the BBC. A policy review conference of the African National Congress in Johannesburg has passed a resolution for South Africa to leave the International Criminal Court. The South African government has been criticised for ignoring an order to arrest the Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir when he attended an African Union conference in South Africa in June. People in Guinea have been voting for a new president, where 7 candidates are running against the incumbent President Alpha Condé. Polling stations opened late in several places. Nearly 20,000 members of the security forces have been deployed. The campaign was marred by clashes between opposition and government supporters, in which several people were killed. Projected results from municipal elections in the Austrian capital Vienna indicate that the centre-left Social Democrats have withstood a challenge from the far-right Freedom Party. The Social Democrats are tipped to have won the poll with nearly 40% of the vote. Bethany Bell reports from Vienna.
The Social Democrats appear to have clung to power in the city, which they've ruled since 1945. But the far-right Freedom Party, in second place, looks set to claim its strongest result yet, capitalising on fears about migrants and the economy. Tens of thousands of migrants, mainly heading for Germany, have passed through Vienna in recent weeks. About 5% of them have applied for asylum in Austria. Many Viennese have turned out to help them. But the head of the Freedom Party, Heinz-Christian Strache, has called for Austria to put up fences on its borders.
Mercedes have won the Formula One Constructors' Championship after Lewis Hamilton triumphed in the Russian Grand Prix. Mercedes clinched the title when the Ferrari driver, Kimi Raikkonen, was penalised for causing a collision and demoted to 8th place. The race in Sochi was marked by several crashes. The win leaves Hamilton on the brink of his 3rd World Championship title. Those are the latest stories from BBC News.
Thanks, David. This is Andrew Peach on the BBC World Service, and thanks for being with me here in the newsroom. The day after the devastating bombings at that peace rally in the Turkish capital Ankara, there's still confusion about exactly who carried out the attacks and even about the number of people who were killed in them. The pro-Kurdish party that organised the rally says the death toll is 128. The government says it's less than 100. Today, as the country began 3 days of national mourning, thousands gathered at the site of the bombings. And while they were there, scuffles broke out between the crowd and the police. Friends and relatives of victims gathered outside a hospital morgue where the bodies of their loved ones were being kept. And one of those, Dinse Ergun, said the police had hindered yesterday's rescue operation.
As we tried to carry the wounded away, police attacked us with tear gas canisters, and for about half an hour we tried to run from the police, who were trying to prevent us from taking the wounded away. For almost 45 minutes the wounded had to wait at the blast site. The ambulances didn't come. They wouldn't let the ambulance drive in. In a way, they completed the mission of the bombers.
And that's the theme I picked up with our correspondent in Ankara, Mark Loeb, when I spoke to him just before we came on air.
There's a feeling here that there was a major security lapse in the organisation of that peace rally in Ankara, which protesters believe is one of the reasons why the bombers were able to strike. And that has added to the sense of anger, of frustration against the authorities here, and particularly against the government. They believe that the government has deliberately weakened security when it comes to sympathy